Hello, welcome to Board Game Bonkers. I'm Jay Sears. This is a quick fire review. We're going to take a look at 5 different board games, give you a very brief overview of them, let you know my thoughts and give them a score as well out of 10. So first up, we're going to be taking a look at Age of Civilization, a very small box civilization game. So let's have a look at how it plays. This is going to give you a very brief overview. I'm not going to go into all the rules, so please keep that in mind, and I'll let you know what my thoughts are. In Age of Civilization, I've got this set up for a two-player game. So in the marketplace here, you'd be laying out 3 plus the number of players. So we've got 5 cards laid out here. You've got your wonders. We've got 5 wonders. You'll be shuffling this deck here and laying out 5 randomly. And we've got our workers here. Now at the very start of the game is what players will be doing is they'll be taking a card as very first action, one of these from the marketplace. Now if you notice on the cards, and I'll show you and explain that first, is you have a population here, that's the number of workers you can have, and gives you ability and a very specific special ability when you carry out a specific action in one of these spots. For example, this one's trade. That'll give me an extra coin. You all do different things. Up here, you've got your different action spaces where we're placing workers. What's important is this tells you how many workers get placed here. This one's 2, for example, this one's 1. If it indicates a cost, you must pay the cost to the bank. In this case, it's 2 workers plus 2 coins. Any it's got a red space, you will sacrifice a worker. What it means is, at the end of the round, you will discard that out of your population. So at this very start of the game, what players will be doing is we'll take one of the cards. Let's just say I take one of these. This is my civilization. So I'm going to just move that here, place it there. On the left, it tells me my population is 3, so I'm going to take 3 workers. So that'll be my population number of workers I can place out in these action spots. Now the second thing I can do, I can choose to take actions, just placing a worker in an action place spot, or I can rest. If I ever rest, I take 2 coins from the bank. So these are coins. And I'll be able to take a worker into my population. The important thing is when you rest, you can go above your population. It's been set by your civilization here. So this is an example. I've taken this civilization, I've got 3, so I'm starting the game with 3. I'll then take my action. For example, I might go here, fish, and I'll get 1 coin from the bank. Another player will then take their turn, and so forth. And after the end of each round, this will slide along, and any action spaces that are behind this marker here can't be used. So for example, this was the second round. This action space, hunt, won't be able to be used. Now, it's important to note, at the end of the round, you'll get your workers back and then go into your main supply here, ready for use for the next round. And what you'll also be able to do is upgrade your technologies. So when you go to a specific spot, which has this icon, that's research, you'll be able to upgrade your technology. You'll simply be placing a marker on it to indicate you've got that technology. If you look as well, you can only go in a certain direction. So if I start here, the next slot I can go to is research. I must follow the arrows as you upgrade, and they'll give you different abilities. For example, the sailing will give you an extra coin if you go fishing, or to the trade action spot. And what I also do, you've got an icon here. This is important because whenever you go into combat, you'll be using this and comparing the shields that you've got. So how does combat work? Let's just say as an action, this was along here later on in rounds, and I went here. This tells me the conquest. If you have the most shields, I'll earn 2 points. So for example, we'll compare the shields, and if I've got more shields than my opponents, then I will win and then go up the track. And you'll be doing this back and forth. What you also do at the start of each round, when there's an option, you'll be able to take one of these market cards. Now it's important to know that any cards that are left at the end of the round will get a coin. And you replenish the cards for the start of the new round, like so. And the reason why leaving coins is to make them more lucrative to take. It's important when you do take one of these cards at the start of each round, you can choose not to, or you can. You will either place it on top of your current civilization, or you will place it underneath, always showing the special ability at the bottom. So I might do this, for example, this gives me an extra shield, and also if I go to trade the action spot, I'll get an extra coin. So it's quite lucrative and a good way of building up your civilizations and improving your abilities. And you can, of course, try to build and take one of these wonders as well. And it's a general basis of the game. And you keep doing this back and forth every round. This one will go up. And then at the end of the game, whoever's got the most points indicated by where your star is the winner. So yeah, this game feels a little bit kind of tacked on with the theme. It doesn't feel fully engrossed in the civilization theme. You have got your kind of technologies. It doesn't really feel like you're advancing technologies and placing cubes on a card, and it gives you cool abilities, which is great. What I found quite interesting was your population, because you're taking a civilization card from the marketplace and you're deciding, right, what civilization do I want? But some are quite cool abilities, but they also give you less population to try and make that choice and decision. It's fairly straightforward and streamlined in how it plays, because I want to build a civilization to go to the spot that allows me to build a civilization. It's going to give me a cool ability. I didn't explain that in the overview. And if I want to increase my population, I'll take a population civilization card with greater population, but the ability is going to be less. And what you're trying to do is figure out how you're going to build up those abilities. Now, when you increase and improve your technology, you simply just go to the worker placement spot to place a cube on your technology board. So it's really simple and streamlined in how it plays. And there's quite a lot in this small box. It does pack quite a punch. So it does have a bit of a theme in there, but it just feels a little bit kind of tacked on. It's quite difficult in such a small box game to have that theme shining through. It does come with a scenario book as well. It takes you through these scenarios. I haven't played that yet. Maybe that'll change my mind on the theme. But the gameplay itself, I really like where after each round, you're going to move that card up. Therefore, the last action spot, therefore, going to defunct, so you won't be able to use that. So action spaces will change. I really do enjoy that. I think that's great. It makes for tough choices and decisions. But I really want this action. Don't start using it now. I'm going to not be able to use it when the next round comes along. Combat is simple, streamlined. You're just looking at what shields you've got. You're comparing those shields. So everything in the Civilization game, it's been lots of ideas taken from other games, and it's completely stripped it right back into the bare bones. It does feel a little bit kind of weak in some areas. It doesn't have as much depth as your kind of big Civilization games, but you wouldn't expect that for such a small game. It's decent, it's fine. The components are just okay. There's nothing amazing about them. The look of it is quite bland and boring. They could have done something a bit better with the actual graphic design of it. The artwork is just pretty bare bones. So that to me kind of brings that down. So, it's a grey box. Everything just feels bland. And maybe that's what they're trying to come across, but with the kind of obviously age of civilization is back in time. Who knows? But it's a decent, compact civilization game. Just don't expect your full fulfillment of a civilization game in a small box. You won't get it, but this is great for traveling. I'm going to be giving this a 6.5 out of 10. Decent enough, but certainly one not to turn your nose up. It's certainly worth checking out. And it's one I'm considering, do I keep it in my collection? Don't I keep it in my collection? I'm not so sure. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this game. So next up, we're going to take a look at Goblin Teeth. Now this is quite a fairly small box game, and it's all about goblins gathering items and then using those items to meet their objectives. Let me just show you briefly how it plays. In Goblin Teeth, the objective of the game is to try and meet one of these objectives, and that's by acquiring these cards here, which are symbols. So what a player will do on their turn is they'll be rolling their dice, and this is set up for a free player. So first player token will be given to one of the players. Each player will start one of these cheat cards. Let's just take a look at a couple. We've got an action and ongoing. Explain these in just a second. These will help manipulate things, and then players roll the dice, and then we're placing dice onto these cards. We've also got an altar. Now an altar is that when you place any numbered dice here, you'll be able to take a cheat card. So what you'll be doing on your turn, you roll the dice. Any numbers that are the same have to be re-rolled. So for example, the green player's got 2 6s. They need to re-roll one of those dice. So there we go. As long as I haven't got the same number of dice, then that is safe. So there's my 3 sets of dice there for the 3 players. And what they'll do in their turns, they'll be placing and bidding. Now it's important when you bid is that I can place a dice on any particular one. Now when I bid, I can only go up to 10. because the goblins can only count up to 10. But the next player might say, look, I'm going to join you and try and match that. I can't do equal, I can only do greater or less. So I, for example, might say I'm going to do a 5. Then it might be the green player and say, I'm going to let them compete, so I'm going to go here. So what you're going to do is keep doing this back and forth until all the dice are played. Now, when all the dice are played, we're looking at who has won, who's got the highest combined number up to 10. And they will then take that card and place it in their hand. And what you're trying to do is get these symbols to meet the objectives. Now, it's important to know that as soon as a player meets the objective, that triggers the end of the game. And it's possible that all players can trigger an objective at the same time. And they've done it in order. Orange is more powerful than the brown is more powerful than the blue because it's more difficult to acquire the symbols for the orange. End of the round, these cards are cleared, a new card is placed out, from here. So let's have a look at these cards here. So these cheat cards will help you. You have two different types. You have an action card. And action cards, they are cheat cards that are played and then discarded face up next to the cheat deck once they're played. So this one is choose an item. On the item, reduce the value of every die that belongs to an opponent by 1. So these are items. It's quite handy. Now, ongoing, which is really useful. Now, ongoing cheat cards can be placed in front of any player, including yourself. Now, you on the card always refers to the player the card is in front of. Ongoing cards now remain in effect as long as they're in front of that particular player. So this is a curse card. You might give this to another player. Whenever you roll a 6 on one of your die, re-roll that die. So it's good to give to another player. It hinders them. So what you'll be doing is doing that back and forth. You could go here and acquire one of these cheat cards. So there's different strategies on how you're going to try and acquire these particular objectives, try and meet them. And that will then trigger them. I really like this game. I was really surprised about Goblin Teeth. I wasn't expecting to like it so much. I really like how you're rolling your dice and then you're bidding on these cards because you want those item cards, because you want to be collecting those item cards to meet the objectives. And what I thought was quite smart was you have 3 different objectives and then order of how tough they are. So you might think, do you know what, if I go for the toughest, then I'm guaranteed if I complete that objective before other players, then I've won. And even if we complete objectives at the same time, as long as I've completed the tougher one, then I've won. I really like that. I love the cheat cards. Do I play a cheat card? When do I play a cheat card? Maybe my tactics at the start of the game is going to be building and acquiring those cheat cards early on. We go into the altar, any dice can go there. I really like that. The choices are simple, they're straightforward. I like the cheat cards. There's a bit of take that. There's cards that you can kind of use to benefit yourself, or perhaps you've got those kind of poison cards that hinders your opponent. I really like that. The quality of this game is fantastic. They've done a great job. It looks great. I think for such a small, fairly straightforward, streamlined game, I would really enjoy this. I was pleasantly surprised. I'm going to be giving this a 7 out of 10. I definitely recommend checking this out. If you like those kind of simple, straightforward card games, Goblin Teeth, I highly recommend it. So let's move into my next one. We're taking a look at Sunset Over Water. Now, this is quite a relaxing game, beautiful, stunning artwork. Let me show you how it plays. Sunset Water is played over a number of rounds. Now, each player will have the little painter here. What you're trying to do is acquire cards, and each card has different types of icons. I'll explain those in just a second. So each player will start with these cards. Now, these are important because you'll be shoving these at the start of the game, and on your turn you'll draw 3 of them. You'll be looking at them and then picking one to play. So let me explain what these cards do. Now, this one here is the initiative. So lower the number, then that's the order you'll go in. So if these 2 cards were played in a 2-player game, then this player will go before this player. This one here tells you which direction you can go in and how many spaces you can move. And this one indicates how many paintings you can collect along the way. Now, you can move any number of spaces up to that amount. And this one is, for example, you can move 3 spaces in most directions, just not up or down. And you can collect 2. So it's important to note that when you're moving, you can pick up, move, pick up, move. You can also pick up from the location where you started at. So I'll explain how that works in just a second. Now, the reason why you're trying to collect these particular cards is you're trying to get certain sets and symbols to meet the requirements. So you have different types of cards here. You've got your commissioner cards. And what will happen is these cards will be one more than the number of players laid out. For example, in a two-player game, we'll have 3 of these cards. And at any time a player achieves these goals, for example, if I manage to pick up a card with a mountain and any other type of symbol, so it could be this, for example, then I've met that, I will then take this card and that will score me points. Also, in each round, at the start of each round, one of these cards will be face up, and these will give you additional points as well. So these types of cards, for example, this is be the last person to paint a landscape with exactly one feature. So you look to see there's one feature, there's a few up here, and that would acquire this card. Be the last person to move horizontally. Be the last person to sell a landscape painting. So what will happen is eventually when you're going around the board, let's just say we were positioned here in a two-player game, is these cards will be taken and then there'll be a gap, which means that's going to make it more difficult to get it around. You also can't be on the same space as another player, but you can pass through. So that is basics of the game. So you've got a 5x5 grid here. You're going to be trying to acquire these cards. You'll be playing a card on your turn and you'll be going according to the time. Whoever's got the lowest number will be the player that goes first. The number of movement you can move. So if I played this card, let's just say I can move 3 spaces. So let's say I'm the brown one. I could maybe go here. I can go up to 3. Don't have to go 3 exactly. And let's just say this is a card I want because this particular commission contract, I want to meet this. So I might just take that. I'll take this card and I can take that and I can keep on moving because I've only moved 1 space. So I might say, oh, I'm going to go here and I can take this card. Now, as you can see, I can take up to 3 cards with free movement. So I could move here and take this card and then it would end my turn and then the next player would go. And as an example given, this is their card. You might say, well, I'm going to move 4 spaces up to 4 and I could take 3 paintings. So you might think, right, okay, I can't take these. Let's me look at, I might go here and take this one and so forth. Then at the end of the round, cards will get replenished, new cards will come out to replace the ones that have been taken. And after a certain amount of rounds, whoever's got the most points is the winner. So this game feels fairly relaxing, but it's still got a bit of thinkiness to it. Because obviously you've got your cards, you're thinking, okay, I've drawn 3, which one do I play? Do I want to go first and before the other players? But my actions won't be as great. I might only be able to move a couple of spaces and only pick up 2 paintings. I really need 4 paintings, but I'm going to go much later. And those paintings I want, they might not be there because other players might get them before me. So there are a couple of tough decisions. I really like that. And I really like that you're putting the 2 cards back into your draw pile. So you're not sure when they're going to come up. Well, you do know when they're going to come up, but you're going to put them in a specific order. You think, right, I'm going to put this before this card because I know when this comes up, I want to go at that point. So I really like that. And I like the objectives. And sometimes you're planning on, okay, if I make sure I'm the last player that collects a specific painting, I'm going to meet that objective card, and then it's going to give me more points. I really like that. It's straightforward enough in how it plays, but it still has a bit of thinkiness to it, and I like that. And although it is fairly relaxing, I think the artwork is absolutely stunning. That is what draws you in and makes it feel relaxing, because the choices are still quite tough. Do I play this card and go first? Do I really need 4 paintings? I'm going to be greedy, but I'm going to go last. I might not get a choice of what paintings are left because it depends on the objective cards later. I really like that. I thought this was a really good, pleasant game. I was quite surprised. I'm going to be giving this a 7 out of 10. I definitely recommend it if you want a more relaxing game. It's still a bit thinky. And does it feel a little bit lengthy with higher player counts? We played this with 4 players, and it just recommended in the box 20 minutes. This took much longer than 20 minutes. It took about 40 minutes to play, so it really depends on player count. Let's move in to my next one. You can look at Mintworks. It's a small little tin game, but it certainly does pack a bit of a punch for such a tiny game. Let me show you out, please. So in Mintworks is a worker placement game, as you'll be placing these mint workers into the different areas. Now, you'll notice some of them different numbers. That's how many you'll need. For example, you need to place 2 here in order to carry that action out. Any here means that you place 1, and that means there's an indicated cost as associated up in these cards. So you'll be starting the game with 3 of these tokens. Randomly select the starting player. You have 3 plans that are laid out. These are shuffled at the start of the game. You have 4 standard locations indicated here. And these are simple action spots. You've got build 1 of your plans. A plan is a card you've acquired from here. That'll be face down, like so. And you'll be able to build that. Take the starting player and gain 1 token. So you'll be taking the token from the supply here. This one is gain a plan from the plan supply. This is a plan supply up here. It's taking one of those cards and paying the indicated cost. And producer means you just gain 2 of the tokens from the main supply. Now, you also start the game with 2 advanced locations out of the 4, so we randomly pick 2 here. Crowdfunder is just gain 3 tokens, each other player gains 1, and Recycler is a little bit more complicated. I'm not going to go into that now. And once you're ready to go, players will go back and forth until players pass. When players pass, we go to upkeep phase. What's the upkeep phase? Upkeep is any cards that are built into your neighborhood, you'll gain the upkeep. For example, this is gain 1 token. So let me just go through a very quick example. So this starting player here may, for example, go here. They'll gain 3 of these tokens from the supply, and then every other player will gain 1 token. So as such, this player gets a token, and this player gains 3 tokens. So this player goes next. He might say, well, I can't build a plan because I've not got a plan yet. I need a plan, so I'm going to go here. And then they'll pay the indicated cost at the top of the card. Let's just say they decide to get the mine. As you see, it's cost of 2, pays 2. And they'll take that plan, and they'll then put it face down because I haven't built it yet. So I have to wait for the later turn. But as I've only got 1 token, I haven't quite got enough yet. So this player might go next and say, right, actually, I want to gain more tokens because I want to start my strategy of building these up. So once all players have taken their actions and passed, then that will trigger the end of the game. So let's just say it's the end of the round. That triggers that. I've passed. This player decides I'm going to pass. All these tokens are out in the action spaces. Go to the supply. At the start of each round, you'll gain 2 additional tokens. But we're going to the upkeep phase first. So there's nothing laid out in anyone's neighborhood to gain upkeep. If this was face up, then this player would gain upkeep of 1 of these tokens. And then we look to see if anyone scored 7 points or more. So points are awarded, indicated by the stars here. Once we've got 7, that triggers the end of the game. So there we have it, Mint Works. This is quite a satisfying game. I was quite surprised. I really like it. My daughter likes it. And for such a tiny game, this is one I'm going to keep in my collection. I really like it. I've got meaningful choices. Okay, which action space do I go? Okay, don't get my mints back. I need to figure a way of how I get more mints. Okay, I really want these cards. And it's a quick game because when you're getting the cards, acquiring them into the plan cards into your neighborhood, you've got to build them. So you're trying to figure out, okay, but there are some cards as well that give you points for cards that aren't built yet. So you're thinking, okay, I can put them into my plan area, not build them, and I'll start ranking up points. There's a couple of different strategies depending on the cards you've got. I really like it. It's quick. It only takes about 25 minutes to play. Quite impressed by how good this game was for such a tiny package. Now, the only drawback is I feel that if you play it quite multiple times, it might get a little bit samey, although with those couple of advanced locations, there are 4 of them, so you choose 2 out of the 4. But I feel that it can get a little bit samey over a number of times of playing this, but there are a couple of promos which I'll be picking up as well. And I think there's a cooperative promo card that you can get as well. So I'll be interested to check that out. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Definitely recommend it. Check it out. That is Mintworks. So let's move into our last one. This is more of an activity rather than a game, I feel. This is Micro Macro, and there's a couple of versions out now. And if you get them all 4 of them, you create this ridiculously large map. And Micro Macro, this is more of an activity. Now, you've got this like sprawling map. I'm not going to get it all out, but as you can see, it's a bit like Wales Wally. So what you'll be doing is taking one of these cases and you'll be opening up, and you'll be having a look at the very first case, and you'll be going in order. and ask you certain questions. For example, this is the third one. Let's say, what happened to him? So obviously, you don't turn the card over. So you'll be able to try and figure out, okay, now I've got some ideas to do ice cream. So we're going to try and figure out and look what happened from stage to stage. So if we just look at the first one, once I can find it, because this is a completed case, I don't want to give anything away. Okay, so this is the start of it. So it gives you a bit of information, and it tells some information about that particular case, and it gives you a starting point. You're going to try and find this person. As you can see, it's quite small, so you can try and find them. Once you've found them, you then go to the next card, which would be the number 2, and it's going to ask, was Mr. Rumsland really in the church? So you're then going to try and figure out and backtrack sometimes. So that's what you try and do. Once you've figured that case out, well, that's the end of the game. But it's a huge sprawling map, and it will take you a little while. It's a good family activity to get kids and other family members involved in it. So Micro Macro Crime City is more of a kind of Where's Wally? And, you know, we've gone through every single scenario. It gets tougher as it goes on, and it gets more difficult. And I feel the more difficult ones take a little bit longer than I would like. And it does kind of get a bit circumstant, it gets a bit samey over time. It just feels a little bit tedious. But it's a good activity to get your family involved. It's a good activity to get children involved in something. And it's sort of like that balance where it's okay, you want to play something straightforward, simple, you don't have to think too much. But it is quite difficult to kind of, this magnifier it gives you, it's okay, but it's quite difficult to strain your eyes, especially for those older people. So I'm not sure how long you would be staring at that map because it's absolutely tiny to see the people. But it's cool. As you're looking on the map, different crimes are happening. It's quite funny. It's amusing. You think, oh, look at that. If somebody's been dropped off the building. It's quite an amusing game. But with younger kids, I'd put a caution up there because it is crime, and that might be suitable for younger children. But I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. It's fun, it's simple, it's great for the whole family to get involved. So there we have it, 5 mini reviews. I hope you've enjoyed that. And if you're new to the channel, please do consider hitting that subscribe button for more content like this, and please consider giving our videos a like. Until next time, take care.
This is Bonkers.